Paul Franco, who is a candidate for state representative. He's married, got 6 children, been involved in the community for a number of years, and he is running hard. He's a Republican, an open seat, 13th with his district. We have Ron Madnick, who's the independent. I forgot about Ron before. And that poor guy showed up here the day he got hit by a car. I think it was sympathy, same reason I fell down the stairs. But anyway, it didn't work for me. It's not working for him. John Mahoney's running. He won the Democratic nomination. Paul, you had an opponent for the Republican, or you did not?
Okay. No, I had a first-round bye.
All right, well, that's great. Give you some time to go on. Welcome. Happy to have you here.
Thank you, Jordan. I feel it's honored to be here. Thank you for taking the time out this afternoon to speak to you and your listeners.
Well, we're happy to have you. What makes you different than Paul Mahoney?
You mean John Mahoney?
John Mahoney.
Well, I think I come from a different perspective. One of the reasons why I got involved in this race is I'm thinking about those families that are struggling. They're sitting at the dining room table. They're wondering how they're going to pay their bills. They're wondering which bills to pay, whether they have to move, whether they have to come up with whether they're ever going to get an answer or an interview to those numerous job resumes that they sent out. And I believe that we need to have a government that's in touch with those individuals out there, that understands the needs of the people and come up with some comprehensive plans to resolve the economic crisis that we're currently involved in. I believe that I have the plans, number one, to help stimulate the economy, because I think that where the job creation is going to come from, it's going to come from the private sector. I believe I have the leadership, training, and capability to do that, and the desire to really make things better for the people that live in our district, in our community.
How do you create a job?
I believe you create a job by, first of all, you don't raise taxes in a recession. We've all learned that. What we need is an economic stimulus of the private sector. The way you create a job is you cut the tax rates. You have uniform tax rates, and I believe that the plans and proposals that not only I've recommended, but have been recommended by many in our party, is a across-the-board reduction in taxes, from the sales tax, from the income tax, from the business tax. Right now, one of the problems with our community tax rate is it's not uniform. Some industries get favorable treatment, some do not. We have to cut the taxes. We have to create an economic environment that will stimulate job growth. We have to help out those small businesses by reducing the burdensome regulations that they currently face. We have to cut spending. We have to realize that just like everyone else, you, myself, every other business, government has to live within its means. And if we don't do that right now, we're going to be in for some serious trouble.
Okay. Let me throw this out at you,
Sure.
because it's I don't know, it's a puzzle for me. If we cut taxes,
okay,
cuts the overhead, cuts the cost of operation of a business, plain and simple.
Right.
There's no automatic job growth. Okay? It just means the company can make a profit. People aren't going to hire just because they're making a profit. Okay? If we get rid of all the burdensome, and I'm all for that.
Sure.
By the way, I'm a former businessman. I understand the business thing. Believe me, I pay plenty of taxes.
Sure.
If we get rid of all the regulations that are out there, all those minuscule pain in the neck regulations out there, it doesn't create one job. Just makes life a lot easier. It may make Massachusetts more attractive long term.
Sure.
But neither one of those things is going to generate a job, from my perspective.
Well,
now, you may disagree with that.
Well, yeah, let's talk about, for example, one of the big issues is health insurance. If you talk to any private or small business owner, our state basically requires any business with less than 50 employees, they mandate 28 separate coverages. So if a company wants to provide employment insurance or health insurance for their employers, they cannot negotiate or bargain with the health insurers. They can't go out of state, and basically they're stuck with 28 mandated coverages. So if it costs, I'll give you an example. In my business, where my firm, my employer is responsible for, it costs $15,000 per person to provide family health insurance. Someone has to pay for that. So it's not something that the government gets a free ride or the business get a free ride. He cannot negotiate. state. All the companies that he can have, they offer the same terms. If we offered an a la carte system where we provided them with ourselves, similar to what we do with the auto insurance, where you have 4 mandated coverages in auto, you have 8 optional coverages. Why can't we have 26 to 28 optional coverages so that the employer can pick the plan that best suits his employees?
Well,
like the bigger companies. The bigger companies have the advantage. Why are we making it so difficult for small businesses?
Okay, you're talking small businesses. Yeah,
small. In other words, 3 out of 4 businesses in our state are created by small businesses.
Right.
If we make it more difficult for them to hire, they're the ones that suffer because they have to use cash flow or capital expenditures on health insurance instead of other things like marketing, research and development. So there are things that the government can do. Maybe the biggest thing is get out of the way. Let the private sector do what they do best, is stimulate the economy by investing in our people, whether it be plant operations, production, growth. Let them do what they do, and let's get out of the way.
If we did all of the things that yourself and basically the Republican Party has called for, certainly in Massachusetts, how long would it be till we had jobs created?
Well, I think it would be fairly quickly, because because you have to understand the environment. Well, you know the environment. What's our nickname? Taxachusetts. We are competing with New Hampshire to the north that mocks us because they have a tax-free holiday every single day, and we're competing against internet sales that are not taxed. So we have to change the image of our state. We have the qualified people, we have the infrastructure, we have a lot to offer. If we simply had the government get on board by having a streamlined government, a tax system that's conducive to job growth, once we get everybody back to work, things are going to improve.
Well, obviously, but how do we get them back to work? My issue is that we can do all of these things, and I guess the chicken and egg theory comes in. I mean, how do we get people back to work? If people are not back to work, they're not going to spend money. There's no business in this world. If you take their taxes down to 0, there's not a business in this world that's going to hire people if they don't need them to produce a product.
Well, I think it goes both ways. I think you have to look at the fact that most of the job creation is small. 3 to 4 jobs are small businessmen. People have the ideas. People have the creativity, the imagination, and the drive to make money. I think it's kind of a narrow view to say that, well, just because we lower the tax rate doesn't mean we create one job, because those people may not want to hire people. One of the greatest things that our country has offered is capitalism. The idea that no matter where you are, from where you come from, we all have the opportunity. And one of the greatest opportunities we have to offer is economic opportunity. We see people from countries like Albania, Vietnam, all across Ghana, all across the world. They come here, and they're in our community. I represent many of them in my private law practice. And they come here with the idea that we have opportunities for growth. Those immigrants come here with a desire to produce. And that production
opportunity.
And if the government doesn't get on board, and like I said, just get out of the way. I mean, don't make it more difficult. Make it more conducive.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. Okay.
No, I want to make sure I get some other things in this so people
please,
get to know Paul Franco.
Oh, okay,
because,
good. Yeah.
Because in 3 weeks they got to make a decision, and I just want to make sure that I do the best job on your behalf to get people to know you.
Fire away.
13th, what's the district? You've been spending a lot of time banging on doors. What is the top 3 issues in the 13th Worcester District?
Well, it has to be jobs, taxes, and regulation. I can't.
And that's what they want from you?
Oh my God, they want. I'll tell you what's really. I think a lot of it has to do with people's perception of the federal government. I think that their perception of the health insurance, mandatory health insurance program that was rammed down their throat. I think it's the way
they're anti that.
Oh my God, it's incredible. Listen, I understand the landscape. I'm a Republican in a Democrat controlled state. I was expecting
different world now, though.
Yes, and I think that one of the things, and I'm getting it from both Democratic voters and independents, they're sick and tired of this partisanship. They want us to go to Beacon Hill to solve the problems and cut the extraneous BS, okay, and get things done and stop fighting amongst each other. Stop looking at the representative government as a place to get perks like pensions and everything else. They want us to do our job, and I can tell you that even today, just down the street, door knocking in this neighborhood, I'm getting such positive feedback. I was expecting a lot more resistance.
But I want to get back to these three things.
Okay.
Let's go. Number one was what?
Job creation.
Okay, and we talked a little bit about job creation. And the second issue?
Lower taxes.
Okay, how do you lower taxes?
Well, I think that's easy to lower taxes. You simply
just lower them.
Well, I think what they're talking about is the sales tax is number one.
Okay, but that means that local revenues are going to be cut going back to the cities and towns.
Well, no, not necessarily. I think I think part of the problem is not necessarily cutting lower cutting aid to low cities and towns. It's talking about what's spent at the state level.
And that's exactly where I wanted you to go, because now I want to know, what do you cut out of the state government? What do you shut down?
I think that there's been proposals out there to cut over $1 billion in revenue. Number one, we can require that all government agencies and businesses, all government agencies have an across the board 3.5% budget cut, except for local aid cities and towns. We can allow local town and administrators, the city's administrators, to craft a health insurance plan that's more
without collective bargaining.
Right, exactly. And then the third one is we can put those Medicaid, those who are currently on Medicaid, state Medicaid, put them on managed health care plans. Those three proposals will reduce our overall spending by $1.2 billion.
And none of that can happen unless there is a majority of people that think like you do, majority of people that are basically Republicans right now or independents that are running, that are counter to the people that are there now, because the governor can talk all he wants.
Well, here's the thing. I think that when we talk about question 3 on the ballot, I think the voters have pretty much given their view that they're going to have a chance to decide, at least on the sales tax. Hey, how was it, 10 years ago we voted to reduce the income tax to 5.25% to 5%. They ignored us there. And I'll tell you, if the people that I'm talking to are as mad as they were back years ago when they voted it, that sales tax is going to be reduced because people are sick and tired of being ignored by their government.
Okay. Right. Paul Franco's here. We're going to take a break. We're going to be right back with him.
Hi, it's Glenn Beck. Join me tomorrow at 9 on News Talk 580 WTA.